Welcome to the Direct Farm Podcast, the weekly listen for farm selling direct. We'll talk about the 4 levers for farm success, which are quality, brand, price, and convenience. We'll hear from outside industry experts and producers like you to delight your customers, save time, and to increase your direct farm sales and business. We're glad you're here. Hey, welcome to the Direct Farm Podcast, everyone. My name is Sebastian. I'll be your host for today's episode. As you may have already read from the title, this episode is the next installment of our Direct Farm Tactics series. If you're new to the podcast, Direct Farm Tactics is a series where we talk about tips and tricks that farmers can immediately apply to their direct business. Usually, the information that we share on the series comes from industry best practices, market trends that we see in the farming industry, or data that Barn to Door captures from working with the thousands of farms that we do. However, for today's episode, we'll actually be featuring farmers from our Farm Advisory Network, sharing some of the tips that they have used to help them grow their businesses. If you're interested in learning more about our Farm Advisory Network, stay tuned until the end of the episode where you can learn more about our Connect program. First up, we have Amy and Will from Old Ridge Valley Farm. They own a pastured protein farm out in Virginia and previously found difficulty with selling their products direct to consumer because of their location in relation to the big cities. But I'll let them share how they were able to overcome that.
So one of the goals for us whenever we got married and started farming was to have a family farm and have a farm that, well, one that we could farm together, but also have a farm that we could, pass down through our kids if they wanted to farm in the future. And that's getting harder to do. And for us in our situation, this diversifying and selling directly was the only way family farming could be a possibility. And so we've definitely learned a lot and been shaped a lot by Joel Salton and Wendell Berry and their perspective on health. And that's kind of what we're aimed at. Marketing directly is the best way or the only way that we can do it. It's hard for us because we live out in the middle of nowhere. Like our closest neighbor is about a mile away. It takes us 30, 45 minutes to get to the closest town or closest grocery store. We're just not surrounded by a lot of people. We can produce a lot of food, but we have to have a way to get food into people's hands. And that's where the online store has really helped us out and been able to connect us with people. Because at the end of the day, without people, what's the point? It's all for nothing, really. One of the main focuses whenever it comes to sustainability is the farming practices itself. And that's super important as far as farming in a way that the land continually produces or hopefully produces better, right? But that being said, that's only one part of sustainability. If your farm is not financially sustainable, it's not sustainable, period. And one of the beauties in farming or in marketing directly is we get to control our margins. But that's also one of the challenges too, is if we're going to control our margins, we better make sure that our margins are good and profitable. And that's something we've learned the hard way. Not all direct sales are profitable sales. And so if we're going to market directly, we need to make sure we know what our break even is or what our margins are or how to price things so that our farm can be sustainable. And that means keeping good records and keeping up with our time and especially have a diversified farm, keeping up with how much time we're spending on what and where our time is most valuable. And even whenever it comes to marketing, one of the benefits to farming is that we're out here. We love working outside and working with life and animals. But if we're going to market directly, that takes a lot of time and work too. And we also have to prioritize that time. So yeah, just knowing what it costs to produce whatever it is you're selling and making sure that we're communicating that value and not just the value of your product, but your values as a producer, because at the end of the day, that's what it is.
So when we decided to start selling directly to customers, we had to come up with a way to get the meat to them. And so we first started through Facebook. And so we had a Facebook page and we were communicating with people of how we were raising the cows, what their life looked like, about our processors and the finished product, what the steak looked like and the ground beef. And so people were really interested and they were wanting to buy it, but we were getting orders coming in through our personal email, our farm email, our personal Facebook Messenger and Farm Messenger and text and just coming in from everywhere. And it was just kind of chaotic trying to keep up with all the orders and make sure I get them to the right place and schedule pickup times or delivery times with each person. So we knew we needed a website. And I tried probably 4 times to build us a website unsuccessfully. And so we were looking for help on building the website and came across Barn to Door. And they just built a beautiful website for us that we could have never done ourselves. And not only that, but it has the farm store in it. And so people can easily purchase through the farm store, pick their drop or pickup location that I have scheduled there. Every order comes through there. And so I'm not getting the texts and emails and all that anymore. And it just makes my life so much easier. And it makes pickup for the customers easier, even just knowing what's in stock. The inventory is there so they know what we actually have available. So that has really helped. And we still communicate through Facebook and Instagram with our customers, but we also know that we are not always going to have total control of Facebook or Instagram, and we don't understand all the algorithms and how everything works. So just in the last couple of years, we have really tried to collect as many email addresses as we can.
And use those email addresses to point people to our website.
Yeah. And so we have a MailChimp account, and that helps get those email addresses. And then we can communicate with them that way, which we can control, unlike Facebook. And so we know that they're getting that information. And then we're also directing them to our website as much as we can, where we're hopeful that they'll order something.
And at the end of the day, it allows us to spend more time farming, which is what we want to do. That's what we are passionate about. And we were spending a whole lot of time just trying to get everything organized, and with the different ways people are putting in orders, and we just weren't keeping up with it. And now with the website and stuff in place, we can spend less time doing that stuff and more time farming. And it's made our lives a lot easier and allowed us to continually focus on the quality of our products.
Next, we have Josie, Director of Operations at Dan and Debbies Creamery in Iowa. For Dan and Debbies Creamery, milk is not just milk, and differentiating their product from any other regular commodity has played a key role in their success. Here's Josie to elaborate more on that.
I think one of the things that makes us unique is just our ability to create and share content that really creates a loyal customer. So we have a quality product. We know that. We put a lot of time and energy into creating a quality product, but how do we convey that to our consumers? It's really important that to drive buyer loyalty, we share the why about our products. Why do we do this with our product? Why do we think our product is better? If you can answer that, then you can really, set yourself apart from others. I had somebody come into our store not too long ago, and they said, milk is milk. And I got to thinking about that. And for me, milk is not milk. The things that we do on our farm, the way we raise our crops, the way we raise our animals, how we care for our animals is done in a way that is unlike any other. And each farm has their own story to tell. Each farm has their own way of doing stuff that makes it unique. And how we do our stuff is unique as well. And I truly stand by and believe that the things that we do on the farm side leads to a higher quality, more premium milk that's not like every other milk out there on the market. And I hope that I can convey that to all of our customers by sharing all the little stories as to why we do things, how we do things. I hope that they too see that our milk is not like the other brand on the shelf. The uniqueness about selling direct to buyers or direct to consumers is that you have the ability to communicate with them. And so for me and for our business, we try to lay out some different highlighted points that we want to try to convey in all of our tactics, whether it's when people come into our store to buy stuff, when we're delivering products to people, or when we're just communicating with them via our social media channels and newsletters. So some of those key points that we share with our consumers and our customers is just that they're getting an all-natural premium ingredient. It sounds easy to say, but again, I go back to the why. Why is our product all natural? Why is it premium? What makes it that way? It's a single source, but what does that really mean? How do we educate our consumers and our customers and let them know about that quality? If you can hook them and if they feel like they're understanding exactly what it is that you're trying to offer, loyalty comes on its own. Again, if you can sit down, think about your farm, write down those different things that you feel set you apart and why your product or offering is quality and different than the person down the street, then you're going to have great success in your business.
Third up on our list, we have Liz Mason with Honeybee Hills Farm in North Carolina. She and her husband run a produce farm that has been doubling in size year over year for the last 4 years. And by size, it's not just the size of their farm, but also the team that helps make it happen. Here's Liz.
My name is Liz Mason, and I, along with my husband, run Honeybee Hills Farm in Prospect Hill, North Carolina. Our farm has really grown since we started 4 years ago, and we've almost doubled in size every year since then to be up to the size that we're at today. And that's had a lot of interesting management challenges that I did not fully appreciate when I came in to be a farmer in the first place. I thought farming was really just about putting some seeds in the ground and taking care of them and growing them and producing a product. But the bigger you get, the more it is about management. It's about hiring. It's about making sure that your staff are well trained and safe and appreciated and can put in the work that you need as a team to achieve your goals as a group. We've really had to learn over the last 4 years how to be better managers, in addition to how to be better farmers, starting kind of from scratch on both things. So in our growth, we've really had to see who's good at what things and build that team structure. I think that's really important no matter what your size. The minute that you grow from being a farm that's just one person doing everything, you have to be able to communicate with everybody around you and be able to delegate and negotiate and work together as a team to achieve all of your goals. So for our farm, the decision to sell online really came down to COVID. 3 of our farmers markets were closed down completely. So what do you do then? We turned to the internet to try to reach our customers. Now that we are online, we're doing a lot of different work out there in the digital space. Developing a brand was very important. We have a graphics package that we can use across both our digital space and our physical space. We have a logo, we have a social media specific logo, we have a font set, we've got a set of colors that we use, and we can tie those together from both our website, our social media presence, and our farmers market booths. We've also got a big banner that is behind us at the farmers market that follows that graphics package. We also invested in a wrap for our delivery van, has our graphics on the side of it and specifically talks about home delivery. So if somebody sees you in the neighborhood, they know how to reach out to get our organic produce delivered to them. It's important for us to be consistent across all of the different ways that we present ourselves as a farm. So in addition to having a graphics package that we use, our message also needs to be consistent as a farm. We have some core beliefs about the quality of our food, the safety of our food, and following the organic standards. So those are things that we like to talk about on our website, on social media, and we're always happy to talk to people at the farmers market in person. So being able to communicate with our customers about food safety, food quality, and organic standards has been a part of the brand that we have tried to establish as a farm. For our farm, social media has been a large part of establishing our brand and reaching out to our customers. I try to post every day a photo or a video that helps people see what's going on at the farm, what we have available, what might be coming up, or just a story about how we're doing what we're doing. So one of the things that I also try to do every week is to post a photo of our CSA contents, and I found that helps create some conversation around the seasonality of our produce. It also helps people see what's coming up in their deliveries, and hopefully it engages with some new customers and gives them an idea of why they might want to join the CSA. It's also been super helpful when I talk to people at the farmers market about, why they would join a subscription type program. I can point them to our social media and they can go and scroll through the photos of what people have received in the past, and hopefully helps them get a little bit excited and push them over the edge to go ahead and sign up for the CSA program.
Next farm we have here, also from North Carolina, is Jessica Evans with Evans Family Farm. Their farm has recently reached capacity and they had to seek out ways to expand their farm, which can be very daunting, especially when you're talking about going from 10 acres to 110 acres. Jessica has some great advice to share for other farms that are looking to expand.
Last couple of years have definitely outgrown our growing capacity, and we're fortunate enough last year to purchase the surrounding 70 acres and lease another 30. So we will be going from 10 acres plus some offsite lease land to all contiguous 110 acres that we'll be managing this year with our livestock. So that's super exciting and scary. But when it comes to the business side of things, which we'll delve into a little bit later, it's a little less scary when you know that your numbers work. So when it came to starting our farm, we had always been entrepreneurs. We'd started and ran our own businesses for about 15 years before we moved out to North Carolina, and came to the farm again with that perspective. Having a business plan, crunching numbers before we kind of made the jump into a new enterprise, or to kind of plan our growth. Like, what does that look like if we need to sell, 5,000 head of chicken? Well, how do we go back and market that? How do we cut our costs? Because that's really the easiest way to turn a bigger profit, is to decrease your overhead. So in labor, so how do we make things simpler labor-wise? How do we buy feed or supplies or infrastructure stuff in bulk so that that cost goes down as well? Or having things that we can use for multiple enterprises divides that cost as well. So for example, when it came to purchasing the additional land, we have to be able to use that land for as many species as possible, because that then divides that land payment over multiple species instead of it just being for grazing cattle, for example. So I talked about being flexible for our market to meet what our customer desires, but also staying true to kind of our core value, which is definitely regenerative agriculture at the heart of things. And some of the things that have helped us get there is kind of our goal setting. So when we purchased that extra land this year, we used a Farm Service Agency, or FSA, loan for a big part of that purchase. And if any of you have looked into those, or if you haven't looked into those, they're amazing. The rates are far lower than any land loans you could ever find, but you do have to qualify for them, and the paperwork can be pretty intimidating. But if you know your numbers, if you have your accounting software kind of lined up, it's pretty easy. It's all information you really should know. So if you start looking at that application, you reach out to your FSA agent if you're looking to purchase land, or for an operating loan. Again, their interest rates are stupid low, 0 down payment pretty much, which again is a huge bonus when buying land or buying infrastructure. And if you look at that and realize there's information you don't know, that should be kind of a red flag, because again, not knowing those numbers makes it really easy to not be turning a profit. Help yourself stay on track, because that money in farming can quickly get away from you, and it lets you pivot as you go along. If you realize you're at the 6 months mark in the year and you're not at 50% of your income or close to that, or where you were last year. So having software that does that for you, having accounting software so you can check where you're at in comparison, looking at, all right, well, what enterprise is not working? What enterprise is maybe bleeding? Am I spending 50% of my labor on the enterprise that only brings me 15% of my income? Maybe that needs to get cut out. Maybe that needs to be sold or partnered with, or have an intern take it over. If I didn't know that data right away, or I didn't have a way to look into that data, I wouldn't be able to pivot maybe until the end of the year, when I kind of have more losses that I could have prevented. And that's again going to help me in my long-term goal. We purchased 70 acres. That's a big land payment that we have due every year. And so we need to make sure that our enterprises are leading us to a way where we're going to not be in the red, where we're going to make that land payment, that tax payment over the course of the following years. And that's going to help us grow.
Last up, we have Ben and Mel with Unconventional Acres in Wisconsin. They have supercharged their farm business with an unconventional tactic of building and growing out their social channels. Amassing a following of over 60,000 people on Instagram, they'll be sharing some of their tips on how they got there.
Melissa wanted to kind of know more of where her food was coming from, and I was just interested in sort of the operation side of farming, and that's how we kind of kicked things off. We started with goats and chickens. I got some cattle and slowly kind of grew from there.
I think by slowly, he meant quickly. We packed up, moved everything, and came to a piece of property that hadn't been farmed for decades. Didn't have any fencing, any outbuildings, and we've literally been growing from the ground up ever since. Linking up social media, specifically Instagram, with our website was really important to us. We've grown Instagram over the years to over 60,000 followers. Instagram's been a great platform for us to connect to customers, community, other businesses, other farmers, and just a whole lot of opportunities. So number one is figure out what you want to do and how you want to do it. Keep in mind the platform that you're on. So when we started out, Instagram was primarily pictures. It's over time evolved to more videos and reels, which are short clips put together that you make a fun video
One key to helping utilize social media to your advantage and to kind of build your customers and build your story is mostly just to be honest and show everything. People are just more interested in that aspect of it and learning more about how your day-to-day goes.
Yeah, so it's not just about the highlights, it's about the struggles as well.
And I think that's useful too, because other people might have a solution for you. And truthfully, more people respond to the stories that are kind of crazy, and they want to see kind of that inside of what your life really is like and how you create the products that you're trying to market. One thing to think about when you scroll through Instagram or any of the social medias is what do you focus on? What interests you? What is too long? What's too short?
Yeah, because if you're not going to enjoy that kind of content and it's yours, the average person probably won't enjoy it either. They're going to know if you're having fun. They're going to know if you're enjoying it. They're going to be able to see those things. So if you look at our feed, you'll see a whole lot of cattle, because I like the cattle. But if you go into that, stories is a big part of what we do. That's where we really, I think, had the most fun and diversified the most. We do a "What you doing, Ben?" every so often. Ben takes a very different role than I do with running the farm. And it's a fun way to show and educate our audience that there's a whole lot that goes into running a farm. Sometimes in stories too, we'll mix it up and we'll do something completely different. Like we did a section where it was Mel's faves, where I went back, it was cold and winter and not a whole lot going on. So I went back through and threw up all my favorite summer pictures. We've had some times where I've been off farm, which is very rare, but a couple times. And during those times, we've done a weekend where Ben takes over Instagram, since I primarily run Instagram. It mixes it up. It shows a different perspective, a different side, gives people a different pace. And I think no matter what we're posting, 99.9% of the time, we're just capturing what we do around the farm. So whether it's chores or fencing or haying, that's a big part of what we do. Mechanical work, feeding, whatever it is, we capture it, because not everybody gets to see what we get to see. Not everybody gets to do what we get to do. So some of those things that might not seem like they're a big deal, or it's just, oh, I gotta go do this again kind of thing, is really interesting and is educational to somebody else. So just making the most of your time and your content, and make the most of your time and what you do, and
not going out of your way to make something up that isn't what you normally do. Something to one person may be educational, to another it might be education, entertainment, or that might be the reason they click on your website to purchase something from you. So,
or it could be all three.
Or it could be all three as well. So an important aspect when you're doing Instagram or Facebook or any of the other platforms is just to be transparent, because at the end of the day, you're representing your product. If people feel you have integrity, people are going to be more likely to kind of click through to your website and purchase something. Although it's difficult to be yourself and to be on camera and everything else, it just pays to kind of be yourself and let that shine through.
All great tips from our fans. We hope you're able to pick up a thing or two from our farm advisors featured on today's episode. If you have any additional questions or would want to talk to any of our farm advisors featured today, check out our Connect program. Our Connect program is all about giving the space for farmers to interact and hear from other successful farmers selling direct. Head on over to barntodoor.com/connect. That's barntodoor.com/connect and pick a time to meet with any of our farm advisors. To learn more about Barn to Door, including access to numerous free resources and best practices for your farm, head on over to barntodoor.com/resources. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.